There are few things in life more frustrating than being misunderstood, and yet it happens all the time. In this week's talk, we'll look at why that is, and we'll share one simple strategy that will help you close the gap between what you say and what they hear.
Have you ever found yourself in the middle of an argument and thought, how on earth did you get that out of what I said? Anybody ever? That's not what I said. Or if it was technically what I said, that's obviously not what I meant. Why are you twisting my words around? There's an amazing amount of turbulence in our world between the mouth and the ears, and it creates a lot of conflict. You ever have one of these where you're saying something like, what part of don't stay out late did you not understand? Right? When you said you would handle the details, which of this whole pile of details did you expect me to do? I thought details meant all of them. It's frustrating. You ever have this? Okay. She says, how does my outfit look? And you say, fine. And she immediately gets upset and goes back into the closet to look for something else. You're like, what's happening right now? I said it looks fine. Okay, let me help you guys. Fine means back to formula. Okay, you need multiple syllables. Okay, fine, good, great. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, you need more. Lovely, beautiful. Getting there, right? Fabulous, magnificent. Incomprehensibly resplendent. It's much better, okay? Multiple syllables, okay? I said fine, but you meant fine. It looks good, babe, let's go. And she said, no, I need to go back. And it's like, oh my goodness, we're going to be late, okay? Communication is hard. Communication is hard. It's especially hard as you age, because anybody else ever have this? You invoke a word that has meant the same thing your entire life up until now. And all of a sudden, they change the meaning, and nobody told you yet. You're like, oh, hey, babe, I love your new hairstyle. It's so fun and zesty. Okay? That used to mean something very different. Zesty does not mean zesty anymore. If you don't know, ask someone in high school. They will explain to you. That happens to me every once in a while. My freshman son is like, wait, what was that again? What did you say? What was that hair? Can you say that again? Hang on, I'm going to get Snapchat open. What was that you said, Dad? There's a great disconnect sometimes between what's said and what is heard. It causes a lot of trouble in our lives, and a lot of that trouble is avoidable. And so today I want to talk to you about that gap between the mouth and the ear, between what's said and what's heard, because God has wisdom that if we plug it in to our lives, it can actually help us to bridge that gap. It can help us to have fewer of those instances. And it can improve the relationship between you and your wife or your husband, between you and your kids, between you and your coworker who votes the other party, between you and the people at school who you can't stand to be around. It can improve all of them if we take it and put it into practice. Okay, so I have good news and bad news about God's plan for bridging this gap. The good news is, on a 1 to 10, it is a 10 on simplicity. Everybody go, yes. Okay, let's hear. Everybody go, yes, but do the arm thing, right? Yes. Some of you guys were around when that was cool. I don't know if that's still cool anymore. Probably not. Okay, it's simple. That's good news. Here's the bad news. It's also a 10 on difficulty. Everybody go, don't. Okay, face palm. It is hard. You need God's help to do it. Simple, but hard, and highly effective if you put it into play. So, without further ado, let me give you God's plan for how to bridge that gap. It's one verse in James chapter 1, verse 19. It goes like this. I think we can put it up on the screens, but if not, I will say it enough times today that you will get it. James 1:19, you must all be quick to listen and slow to speak. Quick to listen and slow to speak. Everybody has to be quick to listen and slow to speak. Kind of like the Ents who never say anything unless it is worth taking a long time to say. It's a good thing I'm not preaching in Entish today, or we would be here till tomorrow. Some of you guys, Lord of the Rings fans, you know what I'm talking about. God says, here's the way to communicate better. Everybody, you need to be quick to listen, and you need to be slow to speak. And that will help us avoid unnecessary anger and frustration and arguments that don't actually produce anything good. Sometimes conflict is avoidable. And when we can avoid it, we probably ought to, especially if it's within our family, within our church family. So I want to show you a couple of ways that you can put that into practice. And here's what's cool about today. This is not like out there in the spiritual stratosphere stuff. You can actually start on this today, and it can start improving your relationships like today. Here's the first one. You want to write this down. Doing that, speaking slowly, listening more. That means that you need to seek understanding more than being understood. That means that the more important thing, everybody wants to be understood. I want to be understood. Let me tell you, I'm going over the way that I'm saying this when I'm practicing because I want to make sure that I'm understood. But when God says you all need to be quick to listen and slow to speak, one of the things that means is that I need to seek understanding more than I seek to be understood. The onus is on me there. Think about this, okay? Imagine that your workplace or your school, okay, gives you this amazing opportunity to go and work for 6 months in Poland, and you'll make 10 times your regular rate. You just go over to Poland, work 6 months in Poland, and then come back, or study 6 months in Poland. We'll give you a scholarship to whatever school you want. Nice. Sign me up, man. Now, the trouble is, I don't speak a lick of Polish, not one word, not even one. I've been to Poland before. I can't remember anything that they taught us to say when I was there. Okay, so you go over to Poland, you don't speak any Polish. Imagine then if you go over thinking, well, they all watch movies in the U.S. and they all listen to American songs. Probably everybody speaks English. And some Poles do speak English. But some of them don't. Imagine if you go over there and you're like, okay, I'm in a moment of crisis. I need the bathroom. Where is the bathroom? And the person there is like, huh? I don't know what Polish sounds like. Probably not that if you're Polish. Sorry. Okay. Where's the bathroom? Yeah, where's the bathroom? I don't know. Okay? You don't speak Polish. They don't speak English. Now, you could try saying it again more slowly. Where is the bathroom? They still don't understand. You could say it louder. Where is the bathroom? Doesn't matter how many times you say it. Doesn't matter how loud or how slowly. If they don't understand, they don't understand. And sometimes, and this is me, okay? I've been guilty of this. I'm preaching to myself today. Sometimes as a leader, sometimes as a dad, sometimes as a husband. I get frustrated because I keep saying the same thing and it's not getting through. And so I just say it louder and I just say it longer and I just say it repeatedly and it's still not getting through because I am speaking a different language or a different variant on that language. You have to understand, write this down in your notes, that communication is a two-player game. And we don't always mean the same thing, even if we're using the same words. Communication is a two-player game. I need to seek understanding more than I seek being understood. I need to learn to communicate the way that the person that I'm talking to needs me to. So Elaine Hunkins is an author and a coach on communication in the workplace. And he theorizes this, he puts it this way. It's like you imagine 3 different spheres. Can we put that up on the screens? Do we have that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, hopefully you can see this. All right, there are 3 different spheres for communication. There's the sphere from the sender. That's what you mean when you say something. And there's the receiver. That's what they hear when you say something. But up here, this is the message. This is, okay? So this is what I'm trying to communicate, and this is what they're hearing. And this piece right here is tricky because you can say the same things and mean something different than what they hear. Let me give you an easy one for those of you guys who live in the same house with somebody from the opposite sex. She goes to the closet, walks out and says, I have nothing to wear. That means she has nothing cute or new to wear. Okay? He goes into the closet, comes out, I have nothing to wear. That means he has nothing clean to wear. Okay? Literally the same words, but a different meaning. And here's the trouble. Psychologists have studied this, and they found that we all have a strong propensity to do this. They actually have a label for it. It's called projection bias. And it means that when I communicate, I assume that the meaning that people give to my words is the exact same as the meaning that I give to my words. Looks fine, babe. I mean, yes, you will look great as we go. Let's get in the car and go. But looks fine might mean, on the other end, I mean, that's like, I guess if nothing else, I guess if that's the best you can do, fine, I guess. Okay? That's not what I mean. But, okay, we all apply meaning to the words, whether you're the speaker or the hearer. And the problem with assumptions is that you're not even aware of them. It doesn't even enter your mind. Of course, everyone understands when I say don't be out late, late in my mind is 10. Well, late in my son's mind might be 2. Okay? You said late. I didn't stay out late. Okay? So there's all of this slushy, flexible part in the middle. And you know how you can have less of that? By seeking understanding, by asking, hey, help me to understand, because I think you're beautiful, and when I say this, I want it to mean that. How can I communicate that better? Okay? Don't go in, what's wrong with you? Why can't you understand what I'm trying to say? All men are just, they have... Okay, no. Don't be that way. Hey, you can learn to speak. You can learn to speak. You just have to be willing to listen. Okay? You can learn to be fluent in other languages. All right? My family, we're working on learning Spanish so we can go and visit Mexico next year. You can learn to speak it. Any of you guys who ever saw the movie Airplane, right? Excuse me, stewardess, right? I speak jive. Okay? You can learn to speak other things if you're willing to ask and be quick to listen and slow to speak. If you're willing to be quick to listen, because this doesn't work with just, I'm just going to put myself in my dad's shoes and understand what he means. You can't. Okay? You have to ask Dad, hey, when you said that, what did you mean? Because I think we mean 2 different things here. You can learn to speak, okay? You can be a man who learns to be fluent in pink. You can be a young person who's fluent in boomer. You can be a liberal who's fluent in MAGA. You can do it, but you have to ask and have conversations. God says, you want to avoid unnecessary anger? Be quick to speak. Quick to listen. I got it backwards. See how easy that happens? Be quick to listen and slow to speak. Quick to listen, slow to speak. Let me give you another way that plays out. Something else. That also means that you need to investigate before you instigate. You need to investigate before you instigate. You want to write that down in your notes. Man, if I had spent my whole life doing this, I would have had fewer times when I had to walk things back. Investigate before you instigate. This is hard because when someone says something offensive to you, your first instinct is not to slow down and say, now, let's have a conversation about why that's offensive to me, okay? Because the assumption is whatever they said, they meant it to hurt as much as it hurts you, even if they didn't mean it. And when you are injured, your first response is to fire back and injure them right back, okay? Your outfit looks fine. Oh, well, thanks, because your outfit always looks so good. I don't even ask you. I didn't even ask if you brushed your teeth. How dare you say that? I always brush my teeth. What are you? Is my breath bad? Okay, and we're just right there. We're on this crazy cycle of just back and forth. Because we just fire off without investigating. And it's hard. And sometimes in the moment, there's not time to conduct a thorough investigation. But we should. Listen to what God says to the nation of Israel in the Old Testament, okay? You want to talk about the need to investigate? He says this in Deuteronomy chapter 13. He says, you may hear a report. Some wicked people have abandoned our faith. They've convinced everyone else in their city to worship other gods. If you ever hear a report like this, look what he says. Conduct a careful, thorough investigation. And if you establish conclusively that the report is true, then bring your swords. He said, okay, there's a time to respond, but you better make sure that you understand what they're actually doing first before you go and stab some people because you misunderstood. Okay, some of you guys, you've got the sword out of the sheath all the time. I'm just ready. I'm ready. Come at me, man. Yeah, okay? I walk into school with those guys and I'm ready with the comebacks just as soon as they say it. Throat slash. Right? Fatality. Okay? I'm ready to attack. Just slow down. Because a lot of these conflict things are avoidable. A lot of them are because of misunderstanding. Did you know this? 80% of workplace conflict is due to misunderstanding and miscommunication. Some of you guys, if your boss were a little bit better at this part, your whole workplace would be a different place. Did you know that 65% of marital conflict is based on misunderstanding and miscommunication? 6.5 out of 10 times that you and your wife are in an argument is completely unnecessary if it were possible for you guys to understand what the other one meant when she said, I can't believe you said that. That hurt my feelings. A lot of it's avoidable. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. Quick to listen, slow to speak. It's hard, but it really helps. Let me give you one more way that this plays out. Because sometimes a response is necessary, and sometimes that response involves conflict. I'm grateful that God did not say in the Bible, be quick to listen and shut up and never say anything. Right? Sometimes you have to let the words out. But be quick to listen and slow to speak means, write this down, you need to wait for the wise time to speak. It means you need to wait. You need to pick your shot. You need to wait for that window to open whenever you can. And I know sometimes you can't. Kids running into the traffic. There's not a time to wait for okay, stop. That's the wise time to speak. Okay? But sometimes you need to wait for the wise time to speak because you know this, the right words at the wrong time are the wrong words. It's not helpful. Imagine your husband comes home from work and he's frustrated because somebody else misunderstood his assignment and they didn't do their job, so he had to stay overtime and didn't get paid for it and had to do the extra work. He comes home angry, slams the door of the truck, kicks the trash can halfway across the yard. That's not a wise time to say, hey, are you ever going to mow this grass? Or do we just need to buy a machete instead of a lawnmower? Okay, don't you see everybody else on the street has, okay, what's up with all of the weeds? We're growing a weed factory? It's not a wise time. Not a wise time to say that. There's probably a better time to have that conversation. And, okay, on the other hand, you come home from work angry because somebody failed their assignment and you had to do their extra stuff, and you probably don't kick the trash can halfway across the yard, but you slammed the car door so hard that you might knock the window out of socket. Okay? That's a bad time for you to walk in and say, hey, are you ever going to mow this yard? Or are we just setting up a wildlife preserve that you didn't tell me about? Okay? Wrong time. Wait for the wise time to speak. Be quick to listen and slow to speak means you need to wait and be aware of your own status. How many of you guys, hand raise, how many of you guys know shopping when you're hungry is a bad idea? Grocery shopping, especially if you're at Costco. You might go into debt for years because you got 3 carts of stuff. Every time I go, I love Costco. Every time I go in there, I'm like, I'm just going to grab 3 things. And then I've got the whole cart. I've got like 2 months worth of supplies for stuff because it's on sale. Okay? We all know this. When you're hungry, You're not thinking logically about what you should eat. You're like, ooh, this sample tastes good. I'm going to buy 10 of them. Okay, the same thing happens in so many different areas of life, and one of those is conversation. Because when you are angry, when you are anxious, when you're nervous, when you're just tired and exhausted from a long day, you are not. It's like the Snickers commercial. You're not you when you're hungry. You're not. You're not. This is interesting stuff. So many of you guys know I have a psychology background. I love to dig into these things. Researchers hooked people up to heart rate monitors and then studied them as they had conversations with one another, regular mild conversations and confrontational conversations. Do you know what they found? Is that when your heart rate elevates above 100 beats per minute, the logic part of your brain clocks out for the day, and the fight or flight survival part of your brain clocks in. It says, here, give me the steering wheel, I'll get us to safety. That happens when your heart rate's elevated. And your heart rate's elevated if you're angry, your heart rate's elevated if you're nervous, if you're afraid, your heart rate's elevated if you had too many Planet Shakers in the morning, okay? And you're not thinking logically, and if you start a conversation in the heat of the moment, if you fire back, I've had it, that's one too many times that you left this stuff out, that's one too many times that you're nagging me, that's one too many times that you're talking back to me, young lady, okay? If you fire back in the moment, you're going to say some stuff that you probably will wish you can take back, and you can't. You can't take it back. Here's what the researchers found. Quote, you lose access, okay, when you're talking above 100 beats per minute, you lose access to your sense of humor, your ability to process complex information, and your capacity for creative problem solving. You literally cannot hear what your partner is saying, regardless of how clearly they speak. End quote. Man, I wish that quote were not so relatable to me. I know plenty of times, once I start seeing red, okay, I have 2 teenage boys. Once they start seeing red and I start seeing red, we're going to go round and round and round for an hour and nothing positive is going to happen. But we're going to talk about it. There might be damage to the house. Nothing positive is going to happen. And it takes amazing restraint. It takes God's help in the moment. But man, one of the wisest things, if you ever have premarital counseling with me, this is one of those things we always talk about. Okay, one of the best things that Natasha and I have ever figured out is to wait for an emotionally neutral time to talk about difficult topics, if possible. You say, well, doesn't the Bible say don't let the sun go down on your anger? It does. You know what qualifies as that? Hey, can we, tomorrow at lunch, can we talk about this thing? Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is say, can we talk about this? Can we talk about this weekend? I really want to give time to, because I think there's some hurt feelings and I want to understand where you're coming from better. And I know I can't do that in 5 minutes before we go to bed. Can we schedule a time? Sometimes, men, the most godly thing you can do is recognize that you're not in an emotional frame of mind to have a conversation that honors your wife, and you're going to take a walk down the street and come back in a minute when you're calmer and then have that conversation. You need to do that. It's important. The Bible says this, Proverbs 15:1, a gentle answer turns away wrath. A gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. And I'm willing to bet that if you looked back through your life, most of the words that you wish you could take back were ones that you spoke too quickly. Most of the things that you've had to apologize for were things that you said in the heat of the moment when you were mad. They're things that you said out of fear of what was going to go wrong. They're things that you said without waiting to think through the ramifications of what you said. And those words are like bullets. Once you pull the trigger, you're responsible for wherever that bullet goes. Well, that shouldn't have hurt you, but it did. You got to be slow to speak. You got to be quick to listen and slow to speak. So your last thing to write down is this. This is, if nothing else from today helps you, this will. Stop and think before you send or speak. Before you reply to that text thread, stop and think for a minute. Is this really what I want to say? Before you say that thing to your dad, before you say that thing to your neighbor, stop for a minute. Wait, is this really, do I really want to be on the line for this? Before you hit send on that post on your timeline, just wait. You know what I've tried to do? If I'm upset, I'll type out a response and then I'll save it to my notes and I'll let it cool down for an hour. You know what happens most of the time? I open that up, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's really, really harsh. I should rephrase that. Will help you. It will help you. It's not just wise, it's godly. It's what God said to do. Be slow to speak. Stop and think for a minute. One of the best things you can do is say, clearly, you're upset, I'm upset. Let's schedule a time where we can talk about this. It's important stuff because your relationships are so valuable. And the damage that you can do from not understanding someone else and just saying what you're saying instead of learning to understand how they communicate, the damage could be severe. Listen, some of you guys, your quick wit is destroying your marriage because you are cutting your spouse down. Some of you have gotten really good at winning arguments, and you keep winning arguments and you keep losing friends. Because you need to listen. You need to hear where they're coming from. And it's hard. It's hard. It's not natural. It's absolutely swimming upstream when you're trying to do this. I know it's not easy for me. Man, I have so many times where I'm coming to the Lord and I'm like, I'm sorry. In the moment, I felt the blood pressure rising and I'm like, oh, this is it. It's on now. And in the moment, I know, stop, don't. And I just push right over. But what if, with God's help, you could get even 20% better on these things? What if you could get just 20% better at seeking to understand somebody else and speaking a language and using words the way that they understand them to mean? What if you had 20% fewer fights with your husband? What if your teenage kids were 20% more on board with your plans for the house because they understood and you understood them? What if you had 20% fewer arguments at work? What if you had 20% more productive talks with that person who votes for the other party? What if you had 20% fewer apologies because you had 20% fewer things that you said in anger that you had to come back and say, I'm sorry, I didn't really mean that? Wouldn't that make life better? I think that it would. And wouldn't that be worth the effort? I think that it would. Without God's help, you probably won't change, but He is committed to helping you. He doesn't issue commands and then not give you help to accomplish them. And as you invite Him into your day-to-day life, and you make this a focus of your spiritual growth, I believe that God will come alongside you, and you'll still mess up some of those, and you'll still say stuff that you regret. You'll still have to come back and apologize, but I think you can have fewer of them and fewer of them as you get better at this stuff. And I think that's how God wants you to live. So don't just embrace that gap between what's said and what's heard, but listen to the wisdom of the Father. Be quick to listen and slow to speak. Hey there, just wanted to take a minute to say thanks for watching. If a friend sent you this link, it's because they believe what we talked about today is going to make a positive impact in your life. And if it did, there's probably somebody that you care about who could benefit from it. So take a minute to share this video with somebody. Post it to your timeline or send them a direct link. And if you're able, take a minute to give using the link at the bottom of the description on this video. One last thing. Maybe you feel a tug at your soul and you're ready to take the next step in your spiritual life and form a relationship with God. We've got folks here who would love to talk with you about it. So just text prayer to the number on your screen and we'll follow up with you. It's also in the description on this video in case that helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.